and welcome to the 2021 Macabre Month of Horror. If you're new to the Brickwall Pictures channel, the Macabre Month of Horror is a yearly series I do every October where I look back at and review horror films from all around the world. Make sure you check out past years' Macabre Months of Horror. Links to each full playlist are in the description. Today, I'm reviewing the 1988 thriller The Vanishing from French filmmaker Georges Sluzier. I have no idea how that's how you pronounce it, probably not. Not to be confused with the 1983 American remake, which Sluzier also directed, or the unrelated 2018 The Vanishing. Don't mix them up.
Parce que mine de rien, c'est devenu une passion. Tu as quelque chose dans la tête.
Vous êtes un menteur. Menteur?
As I mentioned, The Vanishing is more of a thriller than a straight-up horror film, but it scratches the horror itch in the same way that Silence of the Lambs does. The creep factor is high. It might be entirely devoid of outright violence and gore. There's actually not a single drop of blood in the entire film. But there are plenty of disturbing implications and sequences and a deliciously dark ending. I will not be spoiling the film. So if you haven't seen it, don't worry. I will not be getting into anything that happens after the first 30 minutes or so. Dark thrillers of this sort always feel like they straddle the line between thriller and out-and-out horror. And it's a narrow slice of the genres that I especially love, and will always highlight when given the chance. The Vanishing has varied, expertly photographed cinematography and an admirable commitment to the drama, set in gorgeous locations and almost entirely in the broad daylight, as opposed to most horrors and thrillers that use darkness to their advantage in conveying a creepy atmosphere. It's typically harder to make something unnerving if there are people casually walking all around and the sun is shining, but The Vanishing pulls it off. There's a great grasp of tone and manages to be ever so slightly unnerving even before anything directly unnerving has happened. There's a really nice bit of subversion early on if you haven't seen the trailer or read a plot description beforehand, which I hadn't. The title of the film, The Vanishing, or the original title, which translates to Without a Trace, are enough to make you aware that at some point, this person is going to disappear. If you don't know what's coming, the opening of the film presents a situation where this act of vanishing seems not just plausible, but extremely likely. And then it subverts that possibility by having our two characters quickly reconnect. They actually pull this trick twice in a row, and it works both times, on a first watch of the film anyway. It's a clever tactic that makes use of the film's premise and title in a creative way. If the film wasn't called The Vanishing, then this subversive opening would not function in the way that it does. The locations feel so alive. There are so many pedestrians milling about in the background, and they aren't just walking or standing still like movie extras often are. They're all engaged in activities. It adds to the film's sense of realism and the external sensation of being out in a crowd in real life, and knowing that there's a chance that any one of these strangers could wish ill intent on an entirely random person or group of people. Knowing practically nothing about the film before jumping into it made the perspective jump from protagonist to antagonist a fun surprise. We spend an extended amount of time with the abductor early on, and his scenes are captivating.
Je m'appelle Raymond Lemorne. Je suis sociopathe et claustrophobe. Je n'ai jamais trompé ma femme.
It's a strong, subtle performance from Bernard Pierre Donadieu and an extremely well-written sociopathic character. We watch him plan, test, and rehearse his abduction methods in a chillingly voyeuristic manner. The fact that he chloroforms himself and uses a stopwatch to see how long he's incapacitated for is such a disturbing little detail. Even more disturbing is when he practices his method for locking a car door and administering the chloroform at the same time on his own daughter under the guise of it being an innocent, playful gesture. One little historical factoid that I found quite interesting is that part of the abductor's ploy is to wear a fake cast on his arm so that it looks like he needs help lifting something heavy in order to lure in his female victim, which is the exact same ploy used by Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. Interestingly, this film and the Silence of the Lambs novel were both released in 1988, within just 5 months of each other, though the novel The Vanishing was adapted from, also known as The Golden Egg, was published 4 years earlier. If you're unaware, pretending to have his arm in a cast or sling is something that Ted Bundy was known to do when preying upon women. So this is likely where both the film and the book drew inspiration. I just find it interesting that two excellent thrillers drew the same specific point of inspiration so close to each other. There's great film craft on display within The Vanishing, and some wonderful directorial choices all throughout, such as in the cafe scene, where a protagonist and antagonist share the same shot, the former unaware of the latter. I love the decision to keep the antagonist in the background out of focus for the duration. There's even a moment after the protagonist leaves frame where the camera hangs on the antagonist. It's a perfect time to rack focus to him, but it doesn't happen. It's perfectly representative of the protagonist's failure to recognize him. There's great character writing as well. 3 years after The Vanishing took place, our protagonist is so clearly traumatized by the event that when his new romantic partner heads casually down the street, it triggers a full-blown panic in him, PTSD, that she will vanish as well. It's good character-driven drama, which you don't always get a lot of in a film that's as plot-driven as this. There's so much more I could say about this film, but it would be getting into spoiler territory, and I definitely want to avoid that. If you haven't seen The Vanishing, it gets a big ol' recommendation from me. Make sure to subscribe to Brickwall Pictures for the rest of the Macabre Month of Horror. You can follow along with the playlist or any other Macabre Month of Horror playlist. They're all in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.